Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're cracking open a highly classified dossier that completely flips everything pop culture has ever taught us about secret military bases. We're exploring a framework that claims the true center of deep state power isn't where you think it is. It's actually hidden on the complete opposite side of the planet. Okay, let's just get right into it. Mainstream mythology has crowned Area 51 in Nevada as the ultimate vault of the world's biggest secrets. But according to the framework we're analyzing today, that is nothing more than a meticulously constructed public distraction. The dossier argues the classified reality, the actual epicenter of non-human technology and global surveillance, is buried deep in the Australian outback at a place called Pine Gap. Section 1. The Area 51 Distraction.
So the source text argues that Groom Lake is essentially a Hollywood set built for the military-industrial complex. It acts as a highly publicized decoy base, a strategic sponge designed to soak up civilian attention. Keep the public endlessly debating grainy photos and lights in the sky, right? And while everyone's looking there, they're completely ignoring the real operational hardware.
While tourists are literally camping out at the gates of the Groom Lake decoy, the text claims the actual physics-defying work is happening at adjacent, deep underground sites. Take the S4 facility, for example. The sources say it houses Project Looking Glass in heavily shielded sublevels, weaponizing temporal anomalies. Then, just 70 miles away, you've got the Tonopah test range, the true active hub where bleeding-edge stealth fleets are actually deployed. The dossier frames the entire mainstream UAP narrative as a psychological op to hide decades-old mass reduction tech from all of us.
Section 2. Pine Gap, the true anchor.
Now, before we look at the physical base itself, we really need to understand what it allegedly powers. The text describes an archonic frequency grid, and in this dossier's lore, archonic refers to parasitic controlling entities. It defines this grid as a planetary-scale biodigital frequency fence. According to the document, it's a military-grade electromagnetic network designed to enforce a planetary quarantine. It manipulates human consciousness and biological rhythms without a single surgical incision, operating completely through environmental frequencies. And that brings us to the actual hardware running this grid, Pine Gap. Officially, it's the Joint Defense Facility, a massive US-Australian satellite surveillance base out in the extremely remote Australian desert. Now, the mainstream narrative usually brushes this off as just a standard CIA and NSA listening post for global signals intelligence, like the Echelon program. But the documentation insists it isn't just passively listening. It alleges Pine Gap is the most highly classified, deep underground operational hub in the entire Southern Hemisphere. Beyond being a joint intelligence facility with massive subterranean levels, its geographical placement is incredibly specific. The sources claim Pine Gap is strategically positioned directly on an intersection of global telluric current nodes. Think of it kind of like plugging a massive router directly into the Earth's natural electromagnetic circulatory system, making it the primary terrestrial anchor for a global wireless grid. Section 3. Weaponizing the Radomes. If you've ever seen pictures of Pine Gap, you've definitely seen those giant white golf ball structures covering the antennas, the Radomes. While the official line states these are just passive listening devices, the dossier claims that is pure cyber espionage cover. The breakdown goes like this. Step 1, they tap into Earth's massive telluric currents. Step 2, they use that raw power to generate gigawatts of phased array microwave energy. And Step 3, they shoot continuous, zero-latency telemetry directly off-world. So they're using solid-state electromagnetic power to actively transmit, not just intercept. To be specific, the dossier defines these structures as massive phased array transmitters. This is incredibly advanced radar technology capable of pumping gigawatts of radio frequency power. According to the physics outlined in the text, this lets them bounce weaponized extremely low frequency or ELF waves effortlessly through miles of solid granitic bedrock and outward into the atmosphere, perfectly synchronizing subterranean bases all across the globe.
Section 4. The Lunar Command Node.
The foundational claim of this entire framework is summarized perfectly by this quote from the text. The Moon operates as the primary command and control center for the Archonic network, a massive orbital broadcast tower. The documents fiercely argue that the idea of the Moon being a natural, gravitationally captured celestial body is completely false. The classified data supposedly proves it is heavily armored, hollow, artificial architecture. The mechanics of this lunar machine allegedly function like this. It's divided into two main systems. First, you have the projector, which uses holographic broadcasting to step down signals and project a simulated reality matrix.
Second, the frequency fence. This uses electromagnetic dampening to broadcast a primary carrier wave of fear and anxiety. If you follow the source's logic here, that overarching sense of daily dread or stress you might feel isn't just modern life, it's actually biologically regulated by this lunar broadcast.
Now, the text doesn't just make this wild claim, it actually points to supposed evidence. The authors cite unclassified NASA Apollo seismic telemetry, the famous moment the moon quote-unquote rang like a bell when struck, as proof of its hollow, artificial nature. The source claims it acts as a gravitational stabilizer, permanently hides its far side from terrestrial optics, and serves as the ultimate receiver for Pine Gap's continuous microwave data stream.
Section 5. The frequency quarantine.
So, what's the objective of all this gigawatt hardware? The text says it's to maintain what it calls the veil. This is defined as a localized suppressor field. It projects an electromagnetic and psychological dampener over the Earth, specifically engineered to keep human consciousness operating at a suppressed baseline frequency. It is, quite literally, an invisible cage for the mind.
Let's break down how this actually builds into a working system. Step 1. The lunar tower bathes the Earth in those extremely low frequency waves. Step 2. These artificial waves overpower the planet's natural electromagnetic heartbeat, the Schumann resonances. Step 3. Because of this, human brain waves are biologically forced into that suppressed state. And finally, Step 4. Trapped under this veil, a stressed population naturally generates dense, low-frequency emotional energy, and the text claims these archonic entities actually feed upon that exact energy. To summarize the architecture of this global control grid outlined in our source material, it's like a giant, terrifying puzzle. It starts with the terrestrial anchor, the phased arrays buried deep at Pine Gap. This creates a telemetry link, shooting microwave data to the orbital tower, which is the hollow moon. The moon then projects the prison matrix, the ELF veil over humanity. And finally, the wardens. According to the text, these are the highest echelons of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, who ruthlessly protect this hardware and maintain the absolute secrecy of the entire operation.
This entire dossier presents a really mechanical, deeply chilling view of a hidden world. So, as the media cycle keeps our attention totally glued to empty desert bases in Nevada, and while activists protest outside Area 51, the source material leaves us with one incredibly provocative question. Who is actually guarding the switch to the global control grid buried deep in the Australian outback? And honestly, what would it actually take to unplug it?